Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Laurel Jean Mitchell. This case was recently solved, um, and the perpetrators were convicted, both of them, after decades. That gives me a lot of hope for all the other cold cases out there. It's been so long in Laurel Jean Mitchell's case that justice seems impossible sometimes, but cases like this prove that there's always hope. Laurel Jean Mitchell was born May 24, 1958, in Whitley County, Indiana, to Wilma and Richard Miller. She had a brother and a sister. Laurel attended Wawasee High School and was a senior. In her last school photo, she looks a little shy and like a very nice young girl, but she wasn't shy and retiring. She had been the 1975 Wawasee High School Girls State representative. Girls State and Boys State are programs that allow high schools to send their best and brightest to a mock government summer camp. It's a big deal to be chosen. Laurel Jean was also a member of the drama club at Wawasee High School. She was a go-getter. In the summer of 1975, she was working at a United Methodist Church camp near North Webster. Jobs for teens in rural areas are sparse. She was likely thrilled to have a way to make a little money. I know when I worked at Holiday World in southern Indiana as a teen in the late 1980s, I was thrilled to be making a little money of my own. We carpooled to my friend and I. My sister and I owned an old car. My best friend also had an old car, and we carpooled to save gas money and make it a little more affordable to work. We were paid very little, but still, it was better than nothing. Laurel Jean Mitchell didn't have a car, though. She was walking from her job at around 10 p.m. on August 7th, 1975. She had plans to meet friends at an arcade about a mile away. This is a rural area, and so it was likely a very dark and isolated walk. That area of Indiana has lots of lakes and wooded areas around the lakes, and it's rural, but not that wide open rural farmland that you think of. So it was probably a very dark and isolated walk. The full moon that month was not until the 21st. But Laurel was, doing what she had to do to make a little money. She was eager to get a little bit ahead in life. It's also good as a teen to get job history started. You want to have places that can speak well of you when you apply to college or to other jobs later on. But Laurel never made it to the arcade that night to meet her friends. Laurel was found the following morning in the Elkhart River near Ligonier, Indiana. Two fishermen, Clyde Homister and Glenn Dixon, found her body and towed it to shore and called the police. On her death certificate, her cause of death was listed as drowning, but Laurel had not walked from North Webster all the way to Ligonier just to get into the Elkhart River and drown. Someone had taken her there. An autopsy would determine that Laurel had fought hard against her attackers. They even said that in those words on her autopsy that she had fought for her life. She may have looked like a quiet and shy girl, but she fought hard against her attackers. Scratches and abrasions told the tale of a vicious assault. Who could do such a thing? Laurel's family was, of course, absolutely devastated. Laurel's funeral was held, and she was laid to rest at Mock Cemetery. Police investigated in 1975, but to no avail. If they had leads, it went nowhere, and sadly, her case went cold. Decades went by, but the killers were talkers. Three people who were teens in 1975 had overheard things said by Laurel's killers. These statements were compelling enough that the three eventually went to the police. DNA testing has come a long way. Investigators in 2022 were able to find a DNA profile on Laurel Jean Mitchell's clothes. Thank goodness investigators had saved this evidence in her case. After being named by the three tipsters and after subsequent police questioning, Fred Bandy Jr. voluntarily gave a DNA sample. Testing would show that he was 13 billion times more likely to be the person who left the DNA on Laurel's clothing. In 2024, John Wayne Lehman testified that Fred Bandy Jr. of Goshen, Indiana, raped and murdered Laurel Jean Mitchell in 1975. John Wayne Lehman denied himself being involved in the actual rape and murder, but he was there, though. And he did know about it all of these years. He said he was afraid of what Bandy would do if he told. Both men were around 20 years old at the time of the murder. In autumn of 2024, 69-year-old Fred Bandy Jr. was tried and convicted. He was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. The court had to use the 1975 sentencing guidelines in his case. John Wayne Lehman, 69 years old, pleaded guilty to his involvement that night in August of 1975. He was sentenced to 8 years for conspiracy to commit murder. My question is, what else did those two do in the years prior to 1975 and in the years since? Did they victimize other young girls and women? What other crimes are these two men responsible for? Laurel Jean Mitchell had such a bright future ahead of her. She had dreams of college, no doubt, and a career. She was ambitious and smart. She deserved a full life, full of rich experiences. Laurel Jean Mitchell is still deeply missed and mourned by her family. Her grave shows evidence of many visits. She was so loved. Rest in peace, Laurel Jean.